Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new video. My name is Chris, and hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Football. My name is Chris, the American Mag, and Manchester City are aiming to get the Premier League rulebook ripped up so they can have no limits on the UAE-based funding. Listen, this is a big can of worms that has been opened up by Man City. My beloved team, Newcastle United, are looking to be just watching on the sidelines, even though this benefits the club. So only Manchester City alone in this whole situation. To say the least, Chelsea have benefited from no rules whatsoever in their takeover with Abramovich, but they are keeping quiet as well. Obviously, they already established, they already won what they needed to win, and that was back in that was that their takeover was way before City. So they're essentially just watching from the sidelines as well. So Man City seem to be alone in this whole situation. Seem to be. I have no clue as of yet. I have no clue really of everything happening in this situation. Although, I will be reading some of the stuff that we might be finding, but it's as literal as Manchester City taking the Premier League to court. A lot of people saying, well, well, Man City are going to win because of they wouldn't take the step and they have the best lawyers in the world. Well, I wouldn't count on that because the Premier League is no they're not going to put a GoFundMe together so they can find lawyers. They got a lot of money and they make English football three times as much as Man City does. So you got to keep things into perspective and things objectively. Now, do Man City have the right? Obviously, they're going to take it to the land, to the court of the land. They're going to take it to the to England's court. This has nothing to do with football or any sport in particular. So, is this anti sports, competition? Was this legal for the Premier League to put out these rules? My problem is Man City's waiting until this time to bring all that up. Is it you can read it in two ways, whether they're smart, they didn't want to talk about what they were going to do until now, and so that's a good strategy. They have everything to back their argument up, and more than likely, according to them, hopefully for them, a win. um I'm not a Manchester City fan, by the way. I could care less, really. This is a neutral channel, and we obviously bring out what's happening in the football world. And or this is really the last resource. They know that the Premier League has everything to sanction them for the 115 charges, and they are just basically throwing something out there to deviate from the main problem. Um, which in a sense, I don't know if this has 100% to do. This lawsuit has 100% to do with the 115 charges. I know that they're arguing that it's not right, it's not legal. Who is the Premier League or anybody to say that they can't have a third party advertiser or funding from from somewhere else? Who is them to know to or to say that they can't, that some company from Abu Dhabi can't pay 30 million or 80 million, something crazy, for the sponsorship of their shirt? Who is them to say that? How can we how can we assume, how can we assess that any given company, like right now, for Newcastle United's perspective, how can we um, stop a Saudi Arabia team to say, I want to pay you 80 million for Miguel Almiron? Now, we probably tend to think that that's a lot of money for Miguel Almiron, but who is people? I know the market value is one thing, but how do we determine what? I mean, you can't tell people what to spend on. If I want to buy a 50,000 pound car and in reality it's worth 20, but I don't know, and I like the car, and I just pay 50. What is what's the illegal part of it? It's literally somebody paying, which it does have a point. It does have a point. Listen, I think this is all nonsense anyway, and I think that at some point in time, you got to just let people be. And in my honest opinion, if they got it, then let them spend. I don't, I don't buy this nonsense that if they got money, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So, in my perspective, I don't think um, that's an issue. If they have money, it is what it is. They bought a club to invest in it. Why? Who are we? Why are we stopping investors from investing in their own investment? Is redundant and as that sounds. Manchester City are aiming to get obviously the Premier League, the rule book. The Premier League champions first threatened legal action against the Premier League chiefs in February after the new rules restricting the related party transactions squeaked through by a bare majority. Now, also on the Premier League side, Premier League teams voted for this. They not the majority, I'm assuming, but I mean, I'm saying not the majority, not everyone, but the majority did vote for PSR rule for FFP rules, and so and if you're going to compete in the Premier League, you have to abide by the rules, and so there was no complaints until now. That's my only concern. Um, and so we'll have to see where it goes. This is a very unprecedented legal action. Nobody has ever done this. A lot of people, a lot of fans complaining, well, this is like biting the hand that feeds you. I don't know. I mean, every team feeds the Premier League as well, in one of them being Manchester City. Now, the Times reported that legal papers were served within days, with City's army of lawyers now preparing to lock horns with Premier League legal experts in court case set to cost the clubs millions of pounds in shared fees. Man City's actions threaten to ignite the Premier League civil war. City are claiming that the related party rules affecting companies linked to a club's owners are unlawful and will demand damages from the Premier League if they are successful at the anticipated 2-week arbitration hearing starting on Monday. But the Etihad Club are also arguing that the entire fabric of the Premier League rulebook, where any rule change requires a two-thirds majority in favor of proposal, should be torn up. So I don't know how this is going to work because I mean, two-thirds of majority, I mean, that's the majority. If you only do half of the teams, that's not the majority. That's just half. So how many, so how are we going to decide rules anyway? Shouldn't it be the majority? However, the most important part is why, if a company is associated with the Abu Dhabi, owners that obviously own Manchester City, why, if they own other companies, why is that? Why is there a illegality to invest in a Man City? You know, I really don't see that. I don't see why is there is a restriction. Um, I really don't. I mean, if they want to invest in something, they let them do it. If it's legal, if they're not breaking any rules, it's just literally money, man. I see. I'm with City on on one end. I don't know about tearing up the two-thirds um of the voting, to make rule changes. I mean, how else would you do it? If not, it's going to be a dictatorship. If it's just big clubs do it and whatever. But I think there's a lot of things that they can definitely use to be able to make things happen. Also, documents lodged ahead of the hearing say City believe that the rule change, which mandates that all related party deals must pass a fair market value test, was specifically designed to discriminate against golf owners. Well, I mean, you got to say that this rule is old anyway, and not even it doesn't take in consideration the market value, the real market value of players now, who cost triple of what they did back when this rule was implemented, and then fair market value. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? How do we know what a player is going to do when we know that he can have a breakthrough season and lighten up any given league? Because it's happened before. Players join different clubs and they all of a sudden they take off. how do we really know? Or players that you think, or the Hazard move to Real Madrid. He was the one of the best players in the league in Europe. He goes to Real Madrid, man. He goes down like a sack of potatoes. That was a horrible investment in hindsight for Real Madrid. Obviously, not at the time because he was one of the best. So, how do you really determine fair market value? That's one of the things that just don't really hold water for me. Now, of course, teams are watching on the sidelines. One in particular, that's my beloved club, Newcastle United, because after our takeover in 21, we are definitely being affected by these rules. And if this changes, which I don't think is going to change overnight, by the way, people say that Man City wins, then it's done, it's over. We'll have to see. But definitely clubs like Newcastle in particular are watching this very closely. And also to mention that there are other clubs, smaller clubs, mid-table clubs that do like PSR. Nobody talks about them, but they voted for this. And most, I'm assuming, will vote again if they were given the chance to. So I don't know that PSR is going to get abolished and that's it. I think that would be too easy. But for the sake of my club, I hope they fix that so we are able to spend properly. Um, but for the sake of City, of course, they hope that that's the case. And I don't know how that correlates to the 115 charges because there's 115 charges. So I don't know if they're all related to the same third party investment or whatever they want to call it. So we'll have to see. As far as that, what other clubs are really backing this up? Not very many, folks. Trust me. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's football. I'll see you in the next one, folks. Bye bye.